Are you a true submissive or a submissive fetishist? I can hear a chorus of men in the background saying, "Who cares?" Well, you know who cares. Real Domina. Why? Keep listening. You're listening to the Mistress Code. I'm RacyWilde. Talking about true submissives is always controversial. It suggests that there's a right way and a wrong way to be submissive. Yes and no. Basically, everyone can do whatever the fuck they want. There are only two standard rules in BDSM: consent and safety. However, there is a right way to true submission when we are considering the difference between true submissives and submissive fetishists. So, what makes a submissive fetishist? This idea has been around a long time, identified by Domina, but it hasn't become a standard thing in BDSM because only a small section of Domina in the scene care about it. The true Domina. A submissive fetishist is a person who has a fetish for submission and associated acts. A submissive fetishist is in it for their sexual gratification, not for developing a power dynamic with the dominant. They will submit usually until orgasm, and when achieved, their submission disappears. Essentially, they are fetishists, not submissives. What's more, there are many subtypes of submissive fetishists. For example, objects, submission to objects of desire. These fetishists submit to latex, feet, breasts, high heels, the whip, etc. Image, submission to objects of domination. These fetishists submit to the figure of a dominant woman, a statue, a picture, a video, dominant clothing, a commanding voice. Activities, submission to actions of submission. These fetishists submit to pegging, to feminization, to flogging, etc. Feelings, submission to submission itself. They submit to their own feelings of vulnerability, shame, or inadequacy, etc. Thus, submissive fetishists do not require or even want a domination submissive dynamic with a unique individual dominant woman, as they submit by their own self-power to gratify their own sexual desires. A dominant woman acts as a facilitator or an enabler for them, hence the term kink dispenser. So now that you know what a submissive fetishist is, here is what a true submissive is. A person who desires to be a submissive in a domination submission power exchange dynamic with a unique individual dominant. The objects, activities, and feelings experienced are just the product of the DS dynamic and secondary. It is the mutual connection with the dominant woman that is most desired. Why is this distinction important? Firstly, there is nothing wrong with being a fetishist. There are many people who identify as fetishists, and there are many subs who have fetishes. But there is a big difference between a sub with a fetish and a fetishist with a submission fetish. Having something that defines the intentions of submissives will 1. help Femdoms make better decisions and courses of action, and 2. help submissives understand what their desires are to A. work with them, or B. work to develop into a true sub. As you can see by my categorization, most submissives would be classified as fetishists. That might just be because they haven't been educated enough and don't understand DS properly, so they fetishize instead of submit. Most sub-identifying men just run on their own gratification because they haven't had the experience yet of a real DS dynamic. Or they might have just misidentified themselves as submissive when they are really bottoms who like kinky play without dynamics, or fetishists who like kinky play to satisfy their own gratification. Here is a submissive fetish checklist, just food for thought. 1. Are you only submissive when you are horny? 2. Do you lose your will to serve and obey after orgasm? 3. Do you feel submissive only when engaging in a fetish or BDSM act such as cock caging, foot worship, feminization, or masochism? 4. When you see the image of a powerful woman wearing latex or leather, do you desire to submit? 5. Do you enjoy feeling vulnerable and out of control no matter who the dominant is? 6. Do you only submit within your own desires and fantasies? If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are likely a submissive fetishist. Don't worry, everyone's got to start somewhere. What is a submissive fetishist? A person who is triggered to submit because of horniness, objects, body parts, images, activities, or their own feelings. Now, if you are a sub, but you realize you might be a fetishist instead, or if you're a dominant realizing your sub is a fetishist, don't lose heart. Understanding that a sub is a fetishist means that good decisions can be made. For example, for subs, it means they can understand why they keep on getting rejected by real domina, because domina can smell fetishists a mile away, and then either change their direction with the people they approach for play, or they can change themselves to become the submissive they want to be. For femdoms, they can identify potential subs better for their femdom practice, so they don't waste their time. They can use their subs' fetish talents and have a clearer direction on how to dominate them, or they can begin the process of reconditioning their sub to become a true submissive. So yes, there are natural true submissives, but also anyone can be trained or conditioned to be a true submissive if they have a femdom that wants it and knows what they are doing. But what is probably going to bust everyone's bubble is that most self-prescribed fetishists don't have a fetish at all. A fetish is a compulsive desire bordering on obsession. For example, getting an erection just from seeing high heels, or orgasming at the touch of fur. If you just like something or you think it's sexy, it's not a fetish. My point is, we call ourselves a lot of things that aren't true. They are most often just wishes, not realities. The other thing, everything is a spectrum which fluctuates according to the change of the wind. So if nothing is ever constant or certain, what's the point of labels? Well, firstly, communication. Secondly, self-perception as opposed to identity. Thirdly, understanding. When others can understand us and we them, we can connect. Now, I would just like to reiterate, this is my femdom philosophy, and I'm sharing it to inspire you, nothing more.